Your weather guy back with another video update. Some big things happening here as far in the weather world, and I think if you're a cold and snow lover, some positive things definitely lining up. First, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Help this channel grow. I greatly appreciate that. Now, I wanted to do a video a few days ago, but I didn't have a voice, so you probably hear that in my voice. It's starting to come back a little bit, so try to get through this here, but probably going to make it pretty quick. But first, we'll get right to the model. So this is the GFS Ensembles. This is for today. So I want to zoom in here to the upper Midwest, and you can see that upper level low there. And if you remember from the video last week, we talked about this blocking high up here over northeastern Canada, Baffin Island, and made mention of this because with weather pattern that we've been seeing over the last month plus is that these upper level lows were cutting north into Canada. But because of this blocking now in place, that is going to want to push these storm systems further to the east and kind of keep them further south. So I'll put this into motion and you can see what I'm talking about here. See that upper level low just kind of goes due east and even south a little bit. And look at that, that is a vigorous upper level low off the eastern seaboard later this week, all thanks to that blocking there in Canada. So what that means is, even though there's not a ton of cold air around, there's going to be a lot of cold air aloft, and so we could see some snow, some snowflakes. So for the first time this year, some places may see some snow, maybe some accumulating snow. So let's actually pop over to the European model that came out just this afternoon. So here is, I'll back it up to today. So there's our storm system, northern part of the plains right there. So we actually have a winter storm going on there. Now, as I put this into motion, everything kind of pushes east into the southeast a little bit. And then we have a new area low pressure forming just off the northeast coast. And you can see those blues, so that's snow mixing in with the rain. So I think, areas northwest of 95, northwest of Philadelphia and New York might see your first snowflakes of the season. And I'll pop over, we'll let this run out a little bit here so you can kind of see it's really not in a hurry, all thanks in part to that negative NAO or that blocking there in Canada. And now this is now through the weekend, so it really doesn't move a whole lot. And then, so let's pop over, we'll take a look at the snow map here. So this is the European. So European, pretty big snowfall totals. Now, I do think this is probably overdone, but you kind of get the picture, right? Northwest of 95 from southeastern Pennsylvania to New Jersey into southern New York, and then up into the Adirondacks, Green and White Mountains of Vermont, the Berkshires. Could see an accumulating snowfall. Now, this is showing upwards of 20 inches in parts of the Poconos, and then even an inch or two down to the immediate northwest suburbs of Philadelphia and New York. And even in New York, the European has you getting some accumulating snowfall. Again, I think this might be a little overdone, but definitely our first real significant threat of the season coming up here. And this is in the short term now. This is now the end of the week. It's now Tuesday. We're talking about the end of the work week here, seeing some possible accumulating snowfall in this part of the country. Now, taking a look at the overall weather pattern, and actually I'll go back to the GFS here, or the GFS Ensembles. So as we go into the longer range, so now this is this weekend, we're going to have a warm-up, I think, in the eastern part of the United States next week leading up towards Thanksgiving. So temperatures kind of rebound a little bit, and then another front moves through, and then you can see that ridging really building there in the western part of North America and up into Alaska. That's a negative EPO coming into play, which helps to displace the cold air further up north and sends it further south. And as we go further in the long run, so post-Thanksgiving, this is, Thanksgiving weekend now going into early December, much of the same. So a pretty big pattern change here, and one that I think is going to be colder than normal for a good part of the country. The southern part of the United States, it's going to be kind of a battle zone there, and I think that's going to really show up in the storm track as that warm air battles out the cold air. And if any place is really going to be warm, it's probably going to be western part of the United States, southwestern part of the United States. But a pretty significant pattern change. And I think this one has legs. I think this one is going to could be here for a while. And one of the reasons is, let's pop over to the MJO. So the MJO is currently, the Madden-Julian Oscillation is currently in phase 2, and then it's been moving into 3 and 4, and then into 5 to end the month. Now those are warm phases of the MJO, and we're seeing this pretty significant pattern change to a colder pattern, colder than normal, while the MJO is in its warmer phases. So as we go into December, as we get through, say, phase 6, and then finally into 7, 8, and 1, those are the colder phases, and that won't be coming until, probably at least the first, maybe second week of December. We'll be entering in those colder phases. So we're already seeing a pattern change to a colder than normal pattern while the MJO is in a warmer phase. So we get this colder phase in. I mean, we're looking at this pattern possibly locking in through the holidays and into January. So whenever you see a colder pattern setting up in the warmer phases of the MJO and an early start to winter, that could be a positive sign for the winter as a whole, especially if you like the cold and the snow. If you like the warmth, maybe not so much. Let's pop over. I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as the MJO and temperature correlation here. So this is phase 2. Phase 3, you can see how warm phase 3 is. Phase 4 is warm across just about the entire part of the United States, but we're going to be seeing colder than normal weather for a good part of the United States. Same thing with phase 6, and it's really phase 7, 8, and then I'll pop over here to phase 1, and I don't think those are going to be hitting until maybe as we move into the second week of December. So colder than normal pattern setting up could be here for a little while. Again, the places that are uncertain be the southern part of the United States, southwestern part of the United States. It's kind of up in the air, and I think if you're in the southern part of the United States, you're going to see a battle, right? You'll get a cold front that comes through. It'll kind of warm up a little bit. The northern part of the country, I don't think once this next cold front moves through around Thanksgiving weekend, it looks by and large you're going to be entering into a colder than normal pattern. That could be here for a little while, and when you have that colder weather, that's when you get the snow chances too. So interesting things taking place. We got our first snow threat in the eastern part of the United States this week, and then I'll show you one last thing. The European, and towards the end of its run, shows another storm. Now this is likely to change because it's so far out. This is now early December, but showing what this pattern can really do. That's a pretty big snowstorm. Of course, the southern mid-Atlantic and the mid-Atlantic up into southern New England. So I think we're going to be seeing more of these chances pop up in the models, and things are starting to get really interesting. Looks like at this point we're going to have an early start to winter. That's it for today. See you next time.